The new goons that fell into the House of Representatives are really characters. And it's interesting because these people, I think David Pakman put it best, is that these people aren't really politicians. They didn't get into office because they're smart. They didn't get into office because they're politically savvy, and we'll see that. They didn't get into office because of anything besides they're owning the libs, and they do the performative action of being against the liberals, being against the left, being against Biden, being against socialism. And we can see this no better than the interview that was of a certain Madison Cawthorn. You may have seen this guy. He is the dude who visited Hitler's home and said it was the coolest, most epic, most base thing he's ever done his entire life. I think he's from Georgia, somewhere in the South. He had his first and maybe last interview with CNN.
Tell us, what are the specific examples you saw of fraud? Because when you think of fraud, you think of a vote, you're slipping one past the election official, or a vote was stolen, somehow it didn't count. Did you see that specifically?
No, Pam, and like I said, that's not the reason I contested the election.
Hold on, so you wanted to throw out millions of votes without actually seeing any concrete evidence of fraud? Because that's what you were doing when you were contesting the election. The intent there was throwing out millions of votes.
Well, I disagree with you on that point. That was not my intent. My intent was to hold up the Constitution, and setting up ballot drop boxes, which is essentially ballot harvesting in Wisconsin, is unconstitutional because the state legislature said they didn't want that.
So you know more than the judge, the Trump-appointed judge, who actually looked at that case before the election and dismissed the Trump campaign's argument that drop boxes are unconstitutional. And if you would you point to me and where in the Constitution it says that drop boxes are unconstitutional? I don't recall seeing that in the Constitution.
So look at that nervous smile that he's just giving right now. This woman is grilling him. Some people pay good money to experience this type of femdom, okay? And he's getting it for free on live TV too. Man, I didn't know all of these conservatives had a humiliation kink when they got into office. Jeez, this is bad. And he hasn't been able to answer a single one of these questions poignantly at all. If you're wondering why he looks so young too, it's because this dude is actually 25. He is just about as young as you could possibly be. I think he may even be the youngest member of the House now that AOC had a single birthday. Two birthdays ever since getting into office. I think he is just about as young as you could possibly be getting into Congress. He is extremely young right now. And so what he did was he voted against the certification of the election results in I believe it was Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, but not Wisconsin. So he's talking about Wisconsin right now because that is the easiest thing that he can bring up, even though he didn't vote to overturn the election results in Wisconsin specifically. We can get into that, but this is really bad. I don't know how, if you're working for this guy's campaign, I don't know, maybe he doesn't have like an actual, since are mad that Cawthorn is getting grilled. I wouldn't doubt it. When you go all the way around to massive horseshoe theory, and you think that the left and the right are the same, that you actually believe that this is the right wing's version of AOC, this absolutely delusional goon, Trump, a sycophant goon. Because these aren't even like super grilling questions so far. Specific. What have you seen to overturn the election? Why do you think the election should be overturned? Do you think you know more than the judge that threw out this case that you think it goes against the Constitution?
No, so the way that I believe it was unconstitutional is because in Article 1, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, it states that only state legislatures will mandate the manner in which an election is conducted.
Okay.
Right.
We actually have that on the screen. Go ahead.
Excellent. But when you go into the state of Wisconsin, you see that the state legislature actually voted actively against having vote drop boxes there. And then in the town of Madison, they decided to set them up anyways.
So you're making an obscure case on this. Other constitutional experts say, look, what this says right here, this Article 2 of the Constitution says that the legislature can decide what dictates the electors. And they did decide before this election, the states did decide that the plurality of the vote would dictate who the electors are. So that did actually happen. I'm still confused on the unconstitutionality of drop boxes because a Trump-appointed judge dismissed that argument. So I'm just wondering, what kind of work did you put into making sure you were rock solid before making those claims and deciding to do that?
Yes, ma'am. So mainly it was going through having these constitutional lawyers look into the state of Wisconsin, the people that were actually supposed to try the case, and then looking at their evidence. And we presented that to the American people. A significant portion of the American people agreed with it. I agreed with it myself, and I believe that it was a constitutional infraction, and so that's why I opposed the election. Now, you keep bringing up that I did it even after the January 6th insurrection, which, again, I think is despicable and I absolutely condemn. But the people who changed their vote because of that, I believe they were doing it because of political expedience, either if they were going to contest or if they weren't going to contest. The actions of January 6th do not change what happened in the November election, and I believe what happened in Wisconsin was unconstitutional.
Okay, so you keep focusing on Wisconsin, but there were several battleground states that you contested to, that you talked about. There were several that President Trump had lost. So it's interesting you're focusing on Wisconsin, but would you apply the same issues you had with these battleground states to your own state of North Carolina? Because North Carolina also changed a lot of the rules even after voters had started voting. Why didn't you have concerns about your own home state of North Carolina?
Well, you know what, Pam, I'm actually not aware of the laws that were changed inside of North Carolina. I believe we had a very
yeah, the people decide what's legal, and they did. So I don't know why he thinks that he can just overturn this election now. It's actually really interesting how he's like, oh yeah, I know more than the people. I know more than the legislatures. I know more than the judges. I know more than the literal fucking conservative 6-3 Supreme Court. I know more than all of these people, and I know that this election was stolen. And this guy, he's from Carolina, okay? And they changed their rules to be in line with places like Arizona and Pennsylvania. So he's arguing right now that these other states had problems with their elections, but not the Republicans that won. But at the top of the ticket, Joe Biden. So apparently there was like voter manipulation on only half of these. Oh, my bad. Less than half of these ballots. There's voter manipulation on like 10% of these ballots, just at the top of the ticket. But the rest of it with conservatives voting, that's good. Does he think that they like snipped off half of the top of the ticket and then just like duct tape it like Elmer's glue, put it down and then ran it through the machine? And that's why all those Republicans won in the House, but then Biden won. It's just ridiculous. And he has no possible idea why in South Carolina they changed their laws to be in line with them, and he has no clue. He didn't know. He's ma'am, Miss CNN mommy, I have no clue what happened in my state, but I have all of this information on what's happening. It's almost like he has no clue what he's doing.
Yeah, there were several rules. One of which is to extend when the mail-in ballots could arrive, I believe by around 7 days. That was one, and there were a couple.
Oh, like something that he really didn't like, or extending the ballot. Look at this dead. Look at him. She anticipated every single step. Can you imagine walking into a debate like this when he was like, in section 2, article 3, line 5, paragraph 57 and sentence 12 of the U.S. Constitution, and she's like, oh, I actually have that one specifically. It's right here. I actually made it myself. We can put it up on the screen right now. He's like, oh, like when someone anticipates. When the lines that you say are so incredibly predictable that you can make literal that you can do that you can make a PowerPoint, that she has an entire PowerPoint of what this guy is about to say before he said it, you just give up. You just say that I am wrong and you give up, but you can't. This is what we mean when we say you need media training before you go on to shows like this, because he could have gotten away with this on OAN. He could have gotten away with this with people equally as low IQ as him, dipshit shows. Honestly, he could have probably gotten away with this on Jimmy Dore too, but anybody who has any sort of journalistic credibility, any journalistic bone in their body would have gotten this guy his number, every number that he had and every number that he thought that he was going to have, because he's just that dumb and predictable.
And North Carolina actually did have mail-in ballot fraud in 2018. So you're not concerned about your home state and whether you were duly elected by your own standards?
Well, I'll tell you, because of the mail-in ballot fraud that happened in the midterms here in 2018, I believe our election integrity standards here in North Carolina are some of the greatest in the country. I think. So
these other states that haven't had any election fraud, those are bad. But my state that's had like very recent election fraud, with all these laws that I had no clue changed, we had the strongest elections. This is just political hackery. This is what happens when people get put on a pedestal for their membership in a cult and not their actual political beliefs or political savviness or even effectiveness. He's just bad. Honestly, at this point, looking at this interview, I'm not even sure if he understands the ramifications of his actions when he voted to decertify those states. I just thought he may have thought it was as consequential as a Twitter video or a Facebook post or like TikTok likes actually trying to overthrow a duly elected president, all because he didn't fit your political agenda. What's his background before this? I think literally nothing. Here, let's take a look. Actually, he does also look 19. Holy shit. He looks like a Disney. Look at this picture, dude. He looks like a Disney movie, like a jock bully. He looks like the kid who bullied the protagonist. Look at him. Oh my gosh. Yeah, sounds about right. Anyways. Is there a Wikipedia? Here we go. Let's take a look. Born in 1995. Whew, baby. He is super young. He is so young. He's just a couple years older than me. Wow. Cawthorn attended Patrick Henry College during his fall 2016 semester to study political science, but he dropped out after one semester and earning mostly D grades. Hey, man, my man, look at him. And these same people who nominated this guy to be a part of Congress are shit on AOC for being dumb after she passed with an economics degree. But okay, buddy. Cawthorn is the owner of the SPQR Holdings LLC, a real estate investments firm in Hendersonville. The firm was created in 2019 and reported no income. He is the sole employee. Pause the music. So he made his own LLC, real estate investment, where he does nothing apparently. The initialism for SPQR has reportedly been embraced by skinhead gangs in Italy, but some are white nationalists in the United. Oh, I see. And the common flags used by white supremacists. Epic meme, my dude. Epic meme. Wait a second. I gotta see this one. This was 15. Cawthorn takes hard right turn, calls Asheville reparations plan racist. Oh, nice. Cawthorn is also frequently interviewed at his home, a wall displaying stylized version of the so-called Betsy Ross flag with the 13 stars in 13 states. Oh, nice. It's too been adopted by some white supremacists referencing the nation at the time when blacks were enslaved. Wait, they want people to be able to go into college with lower grades and lower school scores simply because they're African American. That's insane. That's saying, hey, don't work so hard because you're African American. It's probably just because you can't do it. Are you kidding me? Oh, okay. So he's one of those like anti affirmative action memerinos. Yes, he has no qualifications, not a bachelor's degree. Listen, it's the mediocrity of being just like your average weirdo white dude in the South. All right, because he seems to be incredibly mediocre throughout his entire life. Yeah, he seems to be incredibly mediocre. He was going to go to a Navy academy, but then didn't. Then went to school and then failed out of school and then started a business, and the business made no money. and then he just got on the Trump train, and then now he's in Congress. I think Cawthorn is the actual definition of falling upwards. If I think about it, this man has fallen upwards more than I think any other person that I can imagine off the top of my head. He's fallen upwards more than Beto O'Rourke. He's fallen upwards more than Pete Buttigieg. He just falls upwards. This man defies gravity. That's his only achievement. Never in my life have I seen a guy defy gravity and fall upwards so much. Government is affirmative action for mediocre white dudes. That's true. That's so true. Like, AOC has a degree in economics, and I'm pretty sure she has I don't want to say dual major, but she has a major and minor. I know for a fact she majored in economics, and she was like a working class person. I didn't see any other job listed from this guy besides him starting his own business that makes no money. He just decided to start an LLC one day that has done nothing. And then he just decided to run one day. And then he visited Adolf Hitler's home and called it heartwarming. What? And now he's in Congress. Jeez.